إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلله فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا ومولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. قال الله تعالى في كتابه الكريم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا قوم ادخلوا الأرض المقدسة التي كتب الله لكم ولا ترتدوا على أدباركم فتنقلبوا خاسرين. صدق الله العظيم. فقال النبي الكريم صلى الله تعالى عليه وسلم تحشرون حفاة عراة غرلا. قالت عائشة رضي الله تعالى عنها فقلت يا رسول الله الرجال والنساء ينظر بعضهم إلى بعض فقال الأمر أشد من أن يهمهم ذاك أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام أما بعد. Tomorrow, بإذن ta'ala, is the day of Arafah. And it's a time and a day that I've been now speaking on, and I've spoken of the virtues of this day non-stop, because it is, for all intents and purposes, on our calendar, on the Islamic calendar, the best day that exists. And when we understand this, we also have to understand that Arafah is not just a time. It is the time in terms of being a day, but it is also a place. So there's Arafah the time and there's Arafah the place. The time is relevant for those who are not on Hajj, whereas the time and place are relevant for those who are performing their Hajj. They are both performing on the day of Arafah, they are on the Mount of Arafah as well. And they are performing the rites of the Hajj pilgrimage on that day. This place is also, the actual place of Arafah, is where some scholars have taken the opinion that mankind will be resurrected on this area, in this area. On the Day of Judgment, as resurrection is beginning, that people will be gathered here. And this is very interesting, because when you think about what the Day of Judgment is going to look like, if you've ever been to Hajj, you know how many people there are all around you. There are so many people all around. There are literally millions upon millions of Muslims, all packed into a very tiny space. And all these people are a little stir-crazy. They get a little uncomfortable. They get upset. They get worried. They get concerned. They get stressed. And as a result, what they end up doing may not always make a lot of sense. And so what is it that occurs is, if you think about it being an analogy or similarity, something that's similar to the Day of Judgment, you start to realize that, subhanAllah, when you go for Hajj itself and you're actually there and you're in the midst of all this craziness, of this insanity, it's just a small taste, a very small taste of what the day of resurrection will look like. And you know, subhanAllah, when it occurs, when you think about what the Day of Judgment will look like, the Prophet ﷺ, there's a famous narration where he talks about this. And he tells us what is going to happen when people are gathered. You know, people, their first instinct, especially when you're in a crowd and there's confusion and there's chaos, their first instinct is to look towards someone who seems like an authority figure. So in this world, they're probably going to look towards someone who's dressed as a police officer, someone who's dressed as a soldier. When people are confused about what's happening, where to go, the masses will gather and they'll go towards those authority figures. They'll gather together and say, oh, there's a police officer, let's go ask him. And the entire crowd will move together and they'll go and say, what do we do? What's happening in this situation? What are we supposed to do? This is similar to the picture that the Prophet ﷺ paints for us. Except the authority figures on the Day of Judgment will not be police officers or soldiers or politicians, but they will be prophets, alayhimussalam. And the Prophet ﷺ, in speaking about the Day of Judgment, he says that people would be resurrected. And they would be experiencing such anguish and anxiety and agony, because they're going to be in such a strange situation. For some of them, they've been dead for hundreds of years, some for thousands of years, and now they've just suddenly been resurrected. And they've come back to life, and they don't know what's going on, and it's dark. And the Prophet ﷺ said that they're all naked. And Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, but aren't men and women going to look at each other? The Prophet ﷺ said, Aisha, it's not going to matter on that day, because the matter of what's occurring, the situation around them will be far too cumbersome. It'll be far too great. It's not going to matter what's happening. And so the Prophet ﷺ said that they'll be gathered and they'll be confused and they won't know what to do, and people will just start saying, don't you see what's going on? Man, we're in trouble. We need to go and find someone to help us. Let's go ask someone who can ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to intercede, or who can intercede with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us. So there's Adam alayhi salam. And the crowd gathers, and I'm not talking about a few people or tens of thousands of people or even 1 million people. I'm talking about billions of people all resurrected. Every single body that's in the ground, whether under here or any other place on this earth, will be resurrected once again. And they will all be gathered together. And if you're in the middle of it, imagine being squished and tightened around all these people. And you're stuck in this situation and people are saying, let's go to this place. And you're just moving along. You're just being pulled along with the crowd. There's no stopping it. There's no changing it. You can't die in this scenario because you've already died. So there's no getting caught underneath and dying in that way. You're just being pulled along, and everybody's going over to the Prophet who they first see, Adam alayhi salam. They say, Adam, you are the first of creation. You are our father. Please help us. We're so confused. We don't know what to do. Ya Adam, please help us. Adam alayhi salam looks at his people. And remember that prophets alayhimus salam are the best of us. They are the best of us. They are the pinnacle of our creation. But yet Adam alayhi salam, when the people come to him, his progeny, his children, however many great grands they are, they come to him and they say, we don't know what to do. And he says, today is a day I have never seen Allah this angry. I can't help you. He told me not to go towards this tree, and I did do that. Please go somewhere else. Go to someone else. Go to Nuh alayhi salam. Now again, imagine you're packed into this group, into this tight gathering of people, and now all of a sudden the people are being told, no, go over here. So all of this crowd suddenly leaves. Not millions, but billions, possibly even more than that. As many people who've ever lived, all moving towards another person. And they see Nuh alayhi salam. As they get towards him, they say, Nuh, you are the first of the messengers sent, first of the Rasul sent to this world. Don't you see what's happening? Please help us. Please intercede for us. Step up and say something, please. Nuh alayhi salam looks at them. The people who he had been given a responsibility to look after, whether they were his people or not, he was given a responsibility to look after the people of this world. Nuh alayhi salam looks at them and he says that, no, I made a dua where I cursed my own people and I'm terrified. Nafsi, nafsi, I can't help you. Go somewhere else. Go to Ibrahim alayhi salam. Once again, the matter starts. You're stuck in the middle of it. You're being pulled along as the people go. And they go to Ibrahim alayhi salam with the chaos and the confusion. Everybody concerned, everybody worried, everybody afraid. And they go to Ibrahim alayhi salam. They say, Ibrahim, we don't know what to do. Can you help us, please? You were supposed to help us in this world. Please help us now. Intercede. Do something for us. Ibrahim alayhi salam looks at them and says, no, I said something that wasn't true. The scholars mention that Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he had been brought in front of the tyrant Nebuchadnezzar, that he said about his sister, about his wife, Sarah, that she is my sister, intending that she was his sister in Islam, because he didn't want himself to be killed, or he didn't want her killed. So he said this in order to save them. And in doing so, he said that I'm afraid. The scholars mention that he calls it a lie, but it's not really a lie. He says, I'm afraid for myself. Nafsi, nafsi, I can't help you. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's not something I can do. Go to someone else. Go to Musa. Go to Musa alayhi salam. Once again, gathered up, heading to Musa alayhi salam. They find Musa alayhi salam. Like finding a needle in a haystack, they find Musa alayhi salam. And they say, Musa, please come on. We've been to so many others. You can help us, right? You can do something for us, right? I've never seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so angry. I don't know what I can do because I punched a man and this man died. I wasn't supposed to do that. I can't help you. Nafsi, nafsi. I'm worried about myself. Please go somewhere else. Get away from me. Go to Isa. Go to Isa. Maybe he can help you. The people gather again. Go to Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salam doesn't mention anything that he did, but he says, I can't help you. I'm worried about myself. Nafsi, nafsi. Go to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And finally, after try after try after try, the people make their way to one man, shining brighter than any other person. And they say, Ya Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, please, we don't know what to do. We don't know what we're supposed to do. We're in trouble. We're scared. We're worried. Please help us. And the Prophet ﷺ said, and in that moment, I will then go and prostrate beneath the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a period. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, Irfa' ra'sak ya Muhammad. Raise your head, Muhammad. Ask and you will be given. Ask and you will be given. Make intercession, I will grant you whatever intercession you want. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, for those of your ummah who deserve to go to paradise without account, give their names, they're going. It's done. Just give their names and they're going. The Prophet ﷺ, he saved his dua. You remember how I talked about the dua that Nuh alayhi salam said? He said, I curse my people. Every prophet is given a one single accepted dua that is absolutely accepted. And every messenger, from the beginning of time, from Adam alayhi salam to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, every messenger used it except Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what did the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, no, I saved my dua for the day of judgment. I saved it for my ummah, to make dua for them and to ask for intercession for them on the day of judgment. That's what Arafah is. Arafah is a training ground for that day, where you're packed in the midst of people. You're surrounded by everybody that seems to exist in this world. Even though on the day of Hajj, even when you're there, it's not that there's that many people, but it feels like it. You're surrounded by people. You don't control where you go. You are controlled because you are going with the crowd. And you get carried to where you go next. The day of Arafah is like a training ground in the place. But it's also an opportunity for us when you talk about the time. The place of Arafah, that is a specific training ground. It's an opportunity that you're invited to. But the day of Arafah, the time of Arafah, it exists for every single person who wants good in their life. It exists for every single person who's willing to do a little bit of work in their life, to put in a little effort, to put in a little time. And that day of Arafah, that day of resurrection, it makes it very clear that the only path to success, whether in the next life or in this life, it's very simple. Follow the Prophet ﷺ. It's very simple. Follow the Prophet ﷺ. It's not easy. I'm not telling you that it's easy. It's simple as a concept, hard in execution. But it is something simple. And the way that you get to this place where you are following the example of the Prophet ﷺ is not because you woke up one day and you said, man, you know what? Today I'm going to be someone who's more aligned with the Sunnah. That's not how it works. Nobody wakes up and says, oh yeah, today I'm going to be more Sunnati. No, it takes effort. It takes work. What it takes is you answering the call. What it takes is you, in the moment is in front of you, you seize the opportunity that exists for you. You don't just say, oh, you know what, maybe next time. Because ask yourself, in every narration you've heard of the Prophet ﷺ, in every hadith you've heard, in every single story of the Prophet ﷺ, how many times have you ever heard the Prophet ﷺ say, you know what, I'll do that tomorrow, don't worry about it. We don't need to do this today, it's okay, just put it off until tomorrow. What narration is there that says that? What narration is it from the Prophet ﷺ that says, oh, you know what? When you're young, it's okay. You don't have to be that religious. Just save that. You know, when you're older, you can be more religious. That's the time for it. Where's that hadith? When we get lost in the world, when we get lost in what everybody else is doing, we start to allow ourselves to think that the next day is the day where the thing I think is right will be done. The next day is the day where I do that thing that I know is right. But then the graves are full of people who said that. They're full of people who never lived up to that answer. They never lived up to that promise. They never got the chance to actually answer that. And when you reflect on that, and the fact that we are sitting right now at a time where Hujjaj are hours away from going to sit on that mountain to be in the time and place of Arafah. And we are hours away from the time of Arafah. Well, all of that then makes it very clear there's an opportunity here for us to answer the call, to ring the bell, to start the journey back towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's a choice. You don't have to make the right choice. That is your free will. I can tell you what you want to hear. I can tell you what you don't want to hear. What you do is your choice and you will answer for it. I will not answer for it. What you decide to do, if you're someone who prioritizes your deen, that's your responsibility in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. On that day, after all that chaos of being pinched between people and stuck in going to prophet after prophet after prophet after prophet after prophet until the Prophet ﷺ makes intercession, if you haven't made the right choices, the one thing I can guarantee you is that you won't be that person entering Jannah without any hisab. If you haven't made the right choices, when the next time comes, when the next part of that journey comes, when you're standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's asking you, why did you do this? There's going to be nobody else you can look to and say, he made me do it, she made me do it. The responsibility on that day will fall entirely on one person's shoulders, and that is your own. Nobody else's. And so we have a choice. We make the decision. And it is up to us to decide, do I prioritize starting that journey, or do I think that maybe I can put it off to another time that may or may not exist? And sitting here now, hours away from the day of Arafah, that's the question you need to ask yourself. This is the question we have to be able to ask ourselves, and hopefully, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, we'll get the right answer. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لكم ولسائر المسلمين فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم أما بعد. Brothers and sisters, please scoot up. Brothers in particular, scoot up. Fill in gaps in front of you, space you have in front of you, fill it in, fill it up, because there's still a lot of people coming. When it comes to making these choices, brothers and sisters, again, it is your choice. And you decide who you're going to be associated with. Will you be associated with the people of Musa alayhi salam? That Musa alayhi salam said to them, hey, it's time for us to enter this blessed land. It's time for us to do and follow Allah's command. And they said, nah, there's some tough times there. It's a little difficult. We're not interested. I have to fast tomorrow. I don't know. Coffee, I drink coffee every day, and I get the headaches if I don't have that. And no, it's okay. I'll do it next time. Right? It's convenience. The people of Musa alayhi salam were told very clearly, you've been granted Ard al-Muqaddasa, a perfect, a beautiful, a righteous land. You've been granted this. You just have to go there. You just have to do it. Instead, they turned around and said, I don't really feel like it. No, I don't really feel like it. It's too hard. It's too tough. Then what happened? Musa alayhi salam said, the people tried to convince them, said, please just come on, let's go. I know that there's some difficulty in there. We have to kind of deal with some things, but it's okay. Allah has promised us victory. Difficulty for us when it comes to fasting Arafah. Yeah, maybe the coffee headache. Maybe you're somebody who gets a headache when you don't eat breakfast. Maybe you're somebody who doesn't function well when you haven't had what you need to have, when you don't eat lunch. It's a difficulty. And you can say, like the people of Musa alayhi salam said, it's too much, not interested. And Musa alayhi salam's dua was simple, that, Ya Allah, I can only control myself. My brother who's a prophet, he controls himself. We're going to do the right thing, but Ya Allah, please just have mercy on us. Allah's response was, okay, you're banished from this place. You're not allowed in this place. Now, big picture, pull back and think about this. That's in this world. They were given something, they were given an opportunity. They were told, you just have to do something simple. You're already granted success. You just have to do something. They said, nah, I don't really feel like it. And then Allah said, okay, you won't have this then. Big picture, we're given our Islam. You're told to do a few things and do a little extra so you can earn some reward. You can be able to get as many good deeds as possible. If you say, nah, I don't really feel like it, no problem. Here's the door to Jahannam. That's it. Choices, brothers and sisters. These are our choices. And I'm not saying that just because you don't fast the day of Arafah, you go to hell. That's not what I'm saying. But it's a pattern. It's a habit. If you decide today, oh, you know what, I don't really feel like it, that will exist tomorrow. And then it'll exist the next day. And the next opportunity that comes, until it comes to the end of your life and you're sitting there thinking back and you're like, man, did I ever fast any extra days? Did I ever pray any extra? Did I ever do any more than I was supposed to do? Did I ever try to kind of pad the stat sheet so I could get more in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And if you were somebody who just said, I don't really need it, well, on the day of judgment, you'll have to answer for that. You'll have to see, was what you said correct? I don't really need that. I don't need more. And most would tell you that no. Because on the day of judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already told us that that's a day when people will be running from not just their close relatives, but their mother and their father. Ummihi wa abi, wa sahibatihi wa bani. You'll run from your kids on that day. Today you would give your life, tomorrow you won't give them a single deed. You run from your spouse, from your mother and your father. That's the choice. Do I have enough for the day of judgment? Well, it seems like what Allah tells us is everybody's going to be saying no to that question. So tomorrow, this is the opportunity. The Prophet ﷺ told us that on Arafah, Allah frees more people from the hellfire than on any other day. On any other day. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes closer to our world in whatever way that is and proudly says to the angels, what do these people want and what do they seek? What are they asking me for? And most scholars say this refers to the people who are on the Mount of Arafah, the Hujjaj. But there are some who have said, because it is what we call am, it is general, it doesn't specify that he comes close to this mount or he comes close to the people who are on Hajj, then it could very well be something that applies to every single person. It's an opportunity. Number two, tomorrow, if tomorrow is the day of Arafah, and there is no better day on our calendar, fast the day of Arafah. Because fasting is something that has no equal in its reward. Fasting is something that will benefit us in ways we don't know and we don't understand. But because we don't understand it, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us so many descriptions of the things that we'll get in the Quran, the things that we get in Jannah, well, clearly that must mean that it's even greater than those things. But don't make that fast a fast where it's like you just roll out of bed, maybe you catch Fajr, you just skip your suhoor, you just don't eat for the whole day. Oh yeah, you break your fast after you're done playing Fortnite, and then you come home, you're finished with everything else, and now, okay, let me eat some dinner and just go to town on whatever I have. That's not what kind of fast it should be. It should be a fast that shows and highlights your devotion. A fast that is a fast like you knew that tomorrow was the last day you were ever going to fast. That's the kind of fast it has to be. That's the kind of fast it should be. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us, this is the day. This is the opportunity. This is your chance. This is your opportunity. So fast like you did Ramadan and answer the call, ring the bell, answer what you're being asked to do, which is just a little bit extra. Go a little bit out of your way. And here's the best part. You don't even have to do it on a work day. it's a weekend. For most, it's not a work day. So you get the benefit of being at home for most. And lastly, tomorrow especially, but even today, make a lot of dua. What you want should not be stuck to that, oh, I'm going to ask Allah just for Jannah and just for protection. Yes, those are important and absolutely you need to ask for that. But at the same time, if there are things that you want in this life, if there are actual physical things you want in this life, ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them and ask Him to make them the best thing for you. That's the trick. Ask Allah for that thing and ask Him to make it the best for you. Make it something that will benefit you in this life and the next. Ask Allah for whatever it is that you want, because what that does is not just get you what you want, but it also builds you a relationship with Him. I'm asking you, Ya Allah, for this thing, and He's giving you this. And it starts this cycle. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, inshallah, it starts a cycle of gratitude. I asked for this and Allah gave it to me. Alhamdulillah. How can I not do more? How can I not do extra? How can I not seize every opportunity in front of me? If you have the golden goose in front of you and you decide to walk away, well then that's going to be your fault. Tomorrow, to take the metaphor a little further, tomorrow is the golden goose in some ways. It's your choice. It's your choice. Do you want to be somebody who seizes every opportunity, or are you going to be somebody who just says, nah, I don't really feel like it, walks away? Because then on that day, I can promise you one thing. I can't promise you everything. I can promise you one thing. You will regret it on that day. Take advantage of tomorrow. Beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from now through Arafah and beyond. Let this be the start of something better. And a reminder for all of us as well, that from Fajr tomorrow, we begin the Eid Takbirat. We begin the Takbirat of Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, walillahi alhamd. 3 times after every Fard Salah, starting tomorrow at Fajr. Whether you're praying in congregation or on your own, you should continue to do this until Wednesday at Asr. Wednesday at Asr will be the last one. I conclude, brothers and sisters, just saying one thing. Don't miss your opportunities. It's not worth it. It's too easy to get what we want. It's too easy to get the things that are beneficial for us. Don't let this opportunity walk away from you. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us people who earn His forgiveness. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be people who earn His mercy. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to be people who seize our opportunities. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. عباد الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم واشكروه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا. أقيموا الصلاة.